Before I get started, I need to mention that one of the key game mechanics here does some high-speed, full-frame, high-contrast field flashing. There's really no way for me to edit around it. So if you're sensitive, give this one a pass. Besides, you already know it's a baseball game. I'm kicking off this episode with some good news. This is the final Moe-Pro game. Yes, after 5 games, Jaleco has decided to call it quits. I actually find it a bit strange that they didn't keep it going for another year or two. It's not like Jaleco is exiting the Famicom quite yet, and it's really not like anybody who makes baseball games hasn't been shameless about doing minor updates and then a yearly re-release. I guess Jaleco decided that it was just time. The subtitle of Moe-Pro Saikyou translates to Strongest Edition. And honestly, that's not really hype. This is the best Moe-Pro game. Although, that really could be a positive or negative. The big change in this version is something that you wouldn't know unless you really followed Japanese baseball closely. You see, in 1988, because Famicom baseball games were getting big, the Japanese Professional Baseball Players Association took steps to stop games from using the real names of players. And so for the past several years, all of the Famicom baseball games have used tweaked versions of player names. The stats were all accurate, they just changed a character or two in the name. Moe-Pro Saikyou is the first video game since that rule went into effect to get a license to use the real player names. This was a pretty big deal at the time, and it forced competing baseball video game series to also get the license. Though I think it only affects 3 more games that we're going to see on the Famicom. Next, there was a huge change to how fielding worked. You're actually given a mini-map that shows the position of all your fielders, so it's a lot easier to catch those pop flies. Jaleco also made the pitching a lot faster, though in this case I kinda think it's a negative. I already find it difficult to tell where the ball is going because of the strange angle between the pitcher and the plate, and having less time to figure out what's going on doesn't help. The third big change is that players power up during the game, or possibly power down. When players make a good play or do badly, they gain or lose a technical point. Technical points don't carry over between matches. They just mean that that player will play better over the course of that game. Black stars are negative points, and yellow stars are positive ones. As is standard for the Moe-Pro series, you can play a single match, or you could play the pennant race, where you play out a 130-game season. They didn't include a battery backup in this one, so you'll have to use passwords to continue. In Japan, this is noted as the peak of the Moe-Pro series on the Famicom. It's often pointed to as one of the strongest baseball games on the system. My own feeling is not quite as positive, even without the baseball dislike. I found Moe-Pro Saikyou to be weirdly difficult. The timing for batting was a lot tighter, and while it's easier to manage fielding, it also goes a lot faster. I also felt like I had a lot less control over my pitching, though that might have been my choice of pitchers. I get why people would point to this as a highlight for Famicom baseball, but it wouldn't be my go-to choice if something strange happened and I decided I really wanted to play some 8-bit baseball game.